Hey everybody, welcome back to Blacklist Universe. It's your main man, Mike S. Miller, drawing today Lobo, but not just any old Lobo. I am drawing Jason Momoa as Lobo. As you can see by the initial rendering here, I am drawing from a reference of a Jason Momoa drawing. It's hard to do because he's got that beard all the time, and so I was trying to get his general face shape without drawing the beard because Lobo doesn't have a beard, although he does have those big mutton chops like Lemmy. But anyways, why am I drawing Lobo? Why am I taking a step away from the Marvel Rivals redesigns? Because as you might have heard, Jason Momoa, my main man, my man. He's like the same guy. My man, Jason Momoa is being cast as Lobo, the greatest, most perfect casting in the history, possibly, of the entire world. Jason Momoa as Lobo in the new Supergirl movie that is coming out. I think it's a James Gunn production. Now, this is going to lead me into some tirade about James Gunn, and I'm not a hater of James Gunn's work, definitely. I will say that he's kind of hit or miss for me. I think his Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, phenomenal, best possible outcome. He took this is how you know James Gunn is a total comic book nerd, because he took a random comic book that almost nobody cared about. Personally, I never liked Guardians of the Galaxy. My apologies to anybody who worked on the book. Was never my cup of tea, but James Gunn took that property and I don't know, man, it was like the greatest, how do I phrase this? The casting for Guardians of the Galaxy is perfect. It's like Ocean's 11 level chemistry between the actors for the Guardians of the Galaxy, which I think did a lot of the heavy lifting, which made that such a great series. Obviously, 2 wasn't the best, but 1 and 3, just such phenomenal films, and so much of it depended on the chemistry between the actors. You didn't get that with the Suicide Squad movie, right? You got all the the jokes and the dialogue, the script, and blah blah blah, but that chemistry was just missing. That made Guardians of the Galaxy such a phenomenal. It just made it such a special moment in comic book movie history, right? Where you had, and this is what happened. This was the problem with the whole Snyder run on all the DC movies, was that you had essentially zero chemistry between any of the actors except Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot. Those two, and I grant you, look, I love both of those actors, and I'm perfectly aware they're not the greatest actors on earth, but that just speaks to how important chemistry is. I would rather watch Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot acting not as well for 2 hours because of their chemistry and their charisma than watching two really good actors who just have zero chemistry and minimal charisma. I get in trouble with fans all the time for saying like Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill had not only no chemistry as actors. I'm not talking about like they're in love with each other, but you have to have actors play off of each other. That's called chemistry. But in those movies they had the charisma of a bucket of rocks. That just no charisma whatsoever. And then anytime Jason and Gal were on the screen, it's like just oozing charisma all over the place. You needed a mop to mop up the charisma from these two actors. And so that's why I do kind of have a lot of hope for this I don't know who they're casting as Supergirl, but if they can find someone who plays really well off of Jason Momoa, someone who has a measurable amount of charisma with that kind of chemistry, and then you put that together with the James Gunn movie, that could be the standout in the James Gunn DC universe. This is the only thing so far in the whole new James Gunn DC universe thing that I'm a little bit excited to check out, just because yes, I am fanboying on Jason Momoa. Like I have met Jason a few times over the years, so maybe that has something to do with it. But maybe I'll, if I can find one of the pictures of us together, I'll just kind of throw it up on the screen at some point. But No, he's awesome. He's an awesome dude in real life. He's an awesome dude in the movies. And yeah, I know, acting wise, he's not Denzel Washington. But then, there's only a handful of guys who can lay claim to being like Denzel Washington or Anthony Goodwin or Gary Oldman. Not everybody can be the world's greatest actor. I feel like I'm being redundant, but charisma plays so much into not just being an actor, but being a movie star. And if you don't have that, I mean, you can be a great actor, but you're never going to be, I don't know, how far can you get? I'm just saying, I'm looking forward to seeing, hopefully, they can cast someone that plays off of him well enough that this really becomes like a shining moment in the James Gunn DC universe. Because really, that is what was missing from the whole Zack Snyder run. Script and its character. The Zack Snyder stuff, it all looked really, well, it looked a little dark, but it looked beautifully made. That was never an argument. Great, hire him to be the cinematographer. But story and character, that's what drives everything in media. Everything in comics, in movies, TV, even games. Well, gameplay in games. But story and character, that's what people want to see, and that's what they get invested in. So if you don't understand story and you don't understand character, it doesn't matter if you're the world's greatest cinematographer. Go make music videos, honestly. If that's all you can do is shoot beautiful scenes, lean into your expertise. Don't think you can be everything to everyone. Oh man, I'm about to get into a Quentin Tarantino screed here, but it's like honestly, I feel like people need to either develop the skills for the lanes they're entering, or just stay out of that lane. Zack Snyder has some great skills. I'm not going to deny he has some great skills, but he's lacking in what is vital to storytelling, which is story and character. That is something I think, again, James Gunn has done well with, but he doesn't have a perfect batting record. So we'll just leave it at that. Hopefully he'll be making the right decisions in casting and the script. I don't know if he's writing the screenplay for it, but he didn't write the screenplay for Guardians either. He hired some first timer who I guess he just recognized talent. I can't remember the gal's name that wrote the first Guardians movie, but he's got a great eye for talent. That we understand. Now let's hope he's got a casting director that's going to make this movie magic. All right, let's get into some of the art here. What am I doing? I am obviously doing the inking stage here. A lot of people are asking what programs and what brushes and all that stuff. So I used the iPad, I use Procreate, and I use the Gesinki ink brush to do my inking almost universally, almost on everything I'm doing, unless I'm doing like meme work or graphics work or whatever. I'm using the Gesinki ink brush because I've spent a good part of my career being an inker. And, I use brush, I use quill in quote unquote real life. So when I went digital, I was trying to find a brush that gave me, or a digital brush that gave me the same qualities that I get from a brush or a quill. And that Gesinki ink, which comes with Procreate, so you don't have to buy an additional package or anything. It comes with Procreate. It is so close to a real brush in terms of like the opacity, the texture, and how it can flare out with pressure. So if you are a quote unquote real world inker and you're trying to move into the digital realm and you want to use a brush that can accommodate the style that you've grown used to in inking, then use that. You can try whatever you want, but that's the one I would recommend. It is free. It works. I love it, so I'm not going to complain. And then once again, I move into the coloring stage. Here I dropped in a darker bluish gray because that's going to be the color of his vest and his pants, right? And then I go in with a, I think it's a 35 or 40% opacity purplish blue layer on multiply. Set it on multiply because then it will dark, but it'll still give you that cool hue for shadows. And I want you to remember something, or learn something if you don't know it already. Shadows are never gray. Shadows are never black, right? And when you're doing in black and white in ink, obviously you have to use black because it's your only option. You're using black and white. But when you're using colors, shadows aren't black. Shadows are the it's not just the absence of light either. It's the reflection of the ambient light. So if you're outside, your shadows are actually blue because you're standing in the ambient light of the sky. The sky is blue, your shadows are blue. If you're in a room that is lit with purple, like this ambient light of purple, like maybe it's got purple walls, and then there's a yellow light. The yellow light is your light source. Your shadows are going to be reflecting the ambient light from the walls, or the reflective light from the walls, however you want to phrase it. So your shadows will then be purple. Same thing if you're in a red room or a green room, whatever. Your shadows are generally going to be part of the environment, or sourced from the environment. And so I just, in general, unless I already have a predetermined background scene where I need to make the shadows match, I generally use a purplish blue because you're either in a nighttime or a daytime. And so it's going to be a purple to a blue hue somehow in your shadows. And so that's why I make that choice. I don't think I've ever mentioned that before, but that's why I do make the choice for the shadows and the color that I do choose on the multiply layer. So you're not just using a solid purple color, right? You're doing a multiply, which darkens it, but it does give it that tone. And then I go in and I do the tint layer, which is the highlights, and then I go in and now I'm doing the flats. And this time I'm actually doing a little bit of color variation on the skin because I didn't want him to be pure white. I wanted to have a little bit of that fleshy tone under the white, so it's sort of on and off and gives it a little bit more texture than I generally do in these illustrations. I usually just go flat colors and then highlights and tones, but this time I did give his skin a little bit of that texture. And then I just went around and I hit him up with, obviously I have to do the color separations, or the what we call the flats, where I just go in and I drop the flat colors of each individual area, which generally you do that first. Like if you're coloring a full page of comic books, you do the flats first, which is a very boring, tedious part of the story. But the way I've been doing these a lot of the times is I'll just go in and I'll do all my modeling. In other words, my tints, my tones, my hues, my color, my tonal variations. I'll do that all first, and then I'll just go in and I'll drop my different colors. And it's kind of fun just kind of revealing how the different colors pop out as I'm doing it. What else I got? And then I go in and I do my highlights with the solid white, just make the shiny things look shiny, make the hard things look hard. And then I ultimately go in and I try to give him a kind of a fun space Lobo, nebulous Lobo walking on the moon kind of the main man on the moon with the nebula behind him. Unfortunately, with the makeup and everything, you do kind of lose a little bit of Jason Momoa's face in there, but this is in celebration of Jason Momoa being cast as the one character all of fandom has wanted him to play. Ever since they saw him, they want Jason Momoa to be Lobo, and James Gunn was smart enough to say, you know what? Give the fans what they want, and isn't that what entertainment is about? Once again, this is Mike Miller. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and you would like to subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. A lot of you guys are just watching these videos over and over again and not subscribing. Why are you doing that? I hope everybody had a safe and happy new year, and thanks for being here. Like, subscribe, share, and I will see you all on the next video.